Hey everybody, I'm Ryan, here with five of my VisCom friends here, and just wanted to start talking about let everybody introduce themselves. So take it away, Kenzie.
Okay, I'm Kenzie. I'm going to be a junior in the fall. I actually had a very untraditional pathway into getting into VisCom. I started freshman year as a bios major and then realized I really missed photography from high school, so decided I was gonna double major. So that's where we're at now.
Thank you. Nate, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so I'm Nate Swanson. I'm a rising senior at Ohio University. Um, I knew I wanted to go into the School of VisCom too because I always really loved photography throughout high school too, and I figured that um, I was more interested in the documentary side of photography too, as opposed to the commercial side. And although both sides are just really beautiful and unique in their own ways, I think the photojournalism side definitely resonated with me a lot more. And producing images of that style was something I was really interested in, with meeting people, telling stories too through that. So that's definitely what intrigued me about the School of VisCom at Ohio University.
Thank you. Could you talk more about what you? I know you're gonna be the photo editor for the post and your current internship.
Oh yeah. So fall semester, I'm going to start being the director of photography for fall and spring semester. I was photo editor for the past couple of years too, and I'm really looking forward to it too because I definitely want to collaborate a lot more with the multimedia sections, and hopefully our photo and multimedia sections can just collaborate some more and learn from each other because they both go hand in hand, and I think we would definitely benefit from that too, and having more experience too outside of just classes teaching solely video. So I think it would definitely help a lot of the uh, staffers with having that on their resume too, just building up more skills. So I think learning from each other would be great. So I'm looking forward to that tenure with the Post. Currently this summer I'm in Washington, D.C., and I'm interning with Germany's international broadcast Deutsche Welle. And they have a studio here in Washington, D.C., and obviously they're based in Germany. But I've had a really interesting experience here so far. So it's definitely traditional from what I'm used to with publication, photojournalism. So I'm learning a lot about research, writing my own stories, pitching my own things to, or my own ideas to our editors in Germany, doing my own stories. Like I said, I'm working on a couple different video projects. One I'm working on right now is a restaurant called Foodini here in DC, and their chefs are all refugees from around the world, and the founder grew up in a refugee community in Minnesota. So I had the opportunity to talk with him about his story and what he wants to do for the chefs too, and to inspire others. So I'm working with that project right now. So I'm definitely having an interesting time here at my internship. So it's nice, and especially in DC too, because it's my first time having a summer that's not in my hometown. So that's nice.
Great, thank you. Abby or Midge?
Uh, I'll go. Hi, everyone. My name is Miana. You can call me Midge. I just graduated from Ohio University in May from with my degree in visual communication on the Photo J track. While I was at Ohio, I worked for our student paper, The Post, as well as our athletic department. And now I'm a digital media intern for the Baltimore Ravens for this season.
Awesome. Yeah, Abby, you can go.
Okay. I'm Abby Dean. I also just graduated from OU with a degree in visual communications on the Photo J track, and a minor in sports administration. And I am currently in Indianapolis, and I'm the photographic services intern with the Indianapolis Colts for the season.
And yes, you also worked for the athletic
Oh yeah.
department, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for the Post for like a year and a half. And then I transitioned to working with WOUB, which is a local news station, more focused on broadcast, but they have like a visuals team that I was a part of. Um, so I covered a lot of like high school football and basketball. And then I worked for the athletic department for 4 years, photographing all of the D1 sports at OU.
Awesome. Thank you. Tanner.
Hello, I'm Tanner. I'm living in Athens this summer. I'm freelancing around town for different clients, doing some work for the Post, and working at a bike shop, which has been really interesting. I'm also running the MPPA OU Instagram, so if you see anything on there, I'm usually the one that posts it. And then in the fall, I'll be working with the athletic department as a photographer.
Awesome. That's good. Great. Um, and I'll introduce myself too. Hi, I'm Ryan. I'll be as just like Tanner, junior. Well, sort of a junior already, but yeah, I'll be working for the Post. Currently, I have newspaper job, and then I also intern for the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad. Just like Nate, it's a little different. Mostly just their photo needs, but I'm trying to get my own, spin on just a traditional, like, all do it all photographer for a marketing department and stuff like that. So trying to get them that. And then little known fact, I also volunteer for the national park, which the train runs through the national park. It's probably one of the most unique experiences, but just you know just a couple of trying to follow some scientists that work for the park and stuff. So just trying to stay busy, get some different stuff. So all right, that's enough about me. So um, I'd only like a few of you to go with this question. So anybody who wants to start off with what brought you to OU in the first place, if you could think back when junior, senior year of high school, who'd like to go? The floor is open.
I don't know. For me, that feels like an eternity ago. I really enjoyed shooting sports when I was in high school. It was a way for me to be involved with athletics without actually having to participate because I was not talented at sports at all. And then I really wanted to go to a school in DC, but it was insanely expensive. So my mom did some research and found like one of the best programs in the nation just right in my home state. So it just made a lot of sense to go to OU.
You can go next. I found out about OU through my high school journalism program. I went to Mason High School in Cincinnati, and every year, students from Scripps come over and do a little presentation about the Scripps school. And found out about the visual communication school, and that piqued my interest when I was, I think, a junior. And then from there, I just kind of kept with it and eventually applied, and that was the only school I applied to, and luckily got in. And fell in love with the place when I came and visited that fall when I was a junior, and decided it was a great place to go. And I'm very happy with the decision coming here.
I mean, I was first interested in art schools actually that offered photography, just because I didn't have a lot of knowledge of schools that offered photojournalism as a major. So I was just looking at schools that offered photography. So I was looking at art schools like School of the Art Institute of Chicago, Savannah College of Art and Design, Columbia College Chicago, but they're just really expensive, and the majors there just didn't line up with what exactly I was interested in, and their photography programs also weren't as esteemed nearly as much as Ohio University's School of BizCom. So I had some help with my parents with finding some colleges that actually offered photojournalism as a major. So I looked at some, and Ohio University just totally stood out to me out of all the others that I looked at. And the School of BizCom just definitely was the one for me. So I knew Ohio University was the right path that I took. So I knew that their photojournalism major was the right one for me.
Thank you, Nate. Thanks, guys. Anyone else have any different perspective? I know Kenzie already talked about yours. So
I can. Do you want me to? I can. Yeah.
sure.
So I had a little bit of a different track to OU. I'm a fourth generation Bobcat, so kind of the family school. My parents went there. They met there. My paternal grandparents both went there. Got grad degrees, undergrads, worked there. My grandpa played and coached football, so kind of grew up around OU. Went to Athens a whole lot as a kid, so I mean, it was always my choice, but I always wanted to go to OU, and it just so happened that Scripps and Viscom were part of OU, so it really worked out. But the program it really solidified the decision for me because, I mean, we could talk about Western Kentucky and stuff, but we all know OU's better. So
But we're not gonna get into that.
All right, thank you. So yeah, definitely. I'll just go on my own thoughts because I like to say some 2 cents. Yeah, for me, just like Nate said, I applied to some art schools and some other stuff, and it just wasn't pointed out to me till senior year. I thought, I was in a high school visual viscom program, and we had cameras and stuff that I used and stuff, and I liked doing yearbooks. So it just kind of made sense to just go that route. Yeah, for me, it was just stood out just like a sore thumb. So okay. Third question: what should a high school student know coming up today as like a freshman? Like, what should they know about their first semester and year at OU? Anybody?
For me, I'd say just kind of have a little bit of thicker skin and just introduce yourself to as many people as possible, especially with Viscom. I've seen a lot with PhotoJ. It's just there is critique and it's definitely like it gets you better, but you just have to accept that you're not going to be a star like coming into the program. And then knowing people is super important. Like your skill set is the most important, but um, I don't know if I would have had as good of luck with the Ravens if it weren't for my friend Brooke, who I met at OU through athletics. So definitely have thicker skin and make as many friends and connections as you can.
I would also piggyback off of that and say making connections is really important. My freshman my freshman year through Viscom was all online through Zoom, but I still made an effort to try to go to office hours. I met with Sam a lot. Me and Sam talked so much. There was a like art exhibit at the Cleveland Museum, and I was telling him about it. It was all the film negatives from a bunch of famous photographers, and he ended up actually going, which was super cool. And then just having that relationship with him, he invites me on shoots all the time, just for commercial side too, because he knows I enjoy that. So that's really fun. And then joining organizations like NPPAOU, that's where I met Midge. She was my mentor and she was phenomenal. We zoomed all the time and she would help me with my projects. And then when I got to Athens finally, she really had my back. She wanted to give me as many opportunities as possible. Like she brought me into a basketball game for my first time to shoot sports to try to figure that out. So making connections with people is super, super important.
I think what I would say about coming to OU as a freshman, and if we're talking about like the School of Viscom, definitely don't be comparing yourself to others because before you know it, you're gonna flourish with your work, just like with yourself, like with your own character. Like you're just gonna watch yourself just blossom, and it's gonna be incredible because you're not doing yourself any favors, like comparing yourself to others, and that was always a big issue of mine. So I'll be like, oh my god, like they're so good, and they have like these incredible stills and these amazing stories. Why didn't I think of that? It's like, no, maybe you can learn something from them and use that as inspiration for something you want to work on in the future. So just take that and learn from it, and just constantly get inspired too by going to museums and looking at their photo exhibits, looking at photo books. And yeah, it sounds super cliche, but I mean, fall in love with photography and fall in love with the art form that it is. And again, that sounds like super cliche, but it's just, that's definitely what I would advise a freshman to come there and do. Don't be comparing yourself to others, because everyone comes there with different levels of experience and backgrounds too. And I mean, and that's what's unique about like going to a university too, because you're meeting so many other people and collaborating with them, feeding off each other's ideas and, each other's creativity. So you're going to watch yourself blossom before you know it. So that's what I'll say.
I'll add on to that with what Nate was talking about. Get ready to learn a lot and to grow a lot, not just from your classes, but also from like student organizations you get involved with. And I think that I learned most from my peers in terms of what style of photography I like the most, more so than the classes. And that helped me find the direction of where I like to focus my interest in terms of books that I consume, photography books, or artists that I follow. And that kind of helps you find your own path and where you want to take your photography career. I would also add, always have a camera on you, like even if it's a film camera, like a small point and shoot. Those are always fun to, whenever you're going out with your friends or, whatever it may be, just capturing memories that you have within your college experience, because it's fun to look back on.
If it's okay, I might actually add on that too. I don't mean to cut anyone off too, since you're next, but I would even say like taking pictures with your phone too, because I remember Charlie Hayes, I forgot his last name too, but he graduated a couple years ago or so. He just got engaged. Does anyone remember his last name? Started with an H.
It's gonna drive me insane. Hold up.
Hatchin.
Hatcher.
Yeah, Charlie Hatcher. I totally forgot his last name, but he told me it's like having your big DSLR on you is like, it's heavy. It can sometimes be kind of annoying to bring around with you a lot of the time. And sure, it'll take like the best photos ever because, you spent a lot of money on that. You want to, like put it to good use. I would even say just like take pictures with your phone because it's always on you too. A lot of smartphones these days have really good quality. So always be taking pictures with your phones. If you just like see something pretty, anyone who follows my Instagram knows that I'm annoying about just like posting anything about like that I think is like pretty. So like it's just like keep that on you and just like have fun, just like taking pictures of things that just like strike your eye. So that's just what I'll say too. Like like, if you have a point and shoot or film camera or anything like that, like Tanner said too, like any of that works. But even with your phone too, that definitely works too.
Abby, would you like to say something?
Sure. I would say get involved, and then also take advantage of the community and the resources you have, because OU, like obviously we know the program is great and the professors, and you can look at it on paper and it checks all the boxes, but it truly is so much more than just your classes. And Scripps College as a whole, you have access to students studying design and students studying multimedia and commercial photographers, and to be able to learn from your peers and gain as much as you can from the community that's around you is key to your growth, I think, because once you leave OU, you're going to find great groups of people, but you're never going to find something like you have when you're in college. And the ability to just like run down the hall and bounce ideas off of people and have someone look at your photos like right then and there at like midnight in the photo lab it's special, and it's something that obviously I knew was great when I was there, but now that it's not available like that to me, it definitely makes me miss everything that this Common Scripts has to offer.
And kind of going off of that, even getting involved in things where that don't directly pertain to viscom, I got to tell so many stories and learn so much about different families through our school's dance marathon. And not only did I get to make those connections with people, I also got to bring different story ideas to class because like there's a lot of interesting stuff in Athens, which means a lot of stuff gets repeated over and over again. So reaching out to different parts of student life and getting those new storylines is super important and readily available to you.
Thank you. Those are all great points. Um, I think my biggest piece of advice for any freshman coming up would be it's what you put into it. It kind of goes off again what everyone else was kind of saying. Like Abby, the resources that was what she was saying, like the resources that are there. Just having that community, yeah, it's what you put into it because it's just, I mean, it's college. I mean, in learning photography, you could do it on YouTube almost, you know. Like this is my next question here, but yeah, it's just what you put into it. There's probably no other place like it, of course. I mean, in terms of the community, there's no, yeah, there's the other schools in the country that are like it, but you know, it's unique to all of us, so definitely. So, um, in your own opinion, we'll start with Abby, and then work backwards, kind of how the route has been going. Is going to school for photography worth it in your opinion? I put this on Instagram and it was kind of almost 50-50, but
This is something that obviously everyone here has been like faced with, either someone saying that it's not or arguing with you about it. I think the fundamentals, like shooting in manual, for instance, I was able to teach myself that prior to coming to OU. But it's not necessarily, that's not all that we're learning in class, and we're learning how to interact with communities, and yes, we're learning how to use a physical camera, but I mean everybody knows that it's not really the equipment you have, it's what you're seeing and the way you're seeing it and how you're portraying stories. And I think so much of that can be learned in real life, but then there's that added, like I was saying, like community and the experience that the professors are able to bring in from real life, that just helps to shape us as photojournalists a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more refined. And I'm not saying that you have to go to school to be a great photojournalist, but I think there's a lot to be gained, not necessarily technically, but in terms of like growing as a person and as a photojournalist, that happens in college.
Nate, kind of want to reverse the order a little bit, or anybody else.
Yeah, like Abigail was really talking about, you seriously learn so much more than just the fundamentals of photography in a school that offers that too, because it's an absolute privilege to be able to go to a university that offers a great program for that too, because you have classes that teach you the fundamentals about photography and how to use a camera, but you're also taking classes in how to take stellar single images. You're taking a class on how to tell a photo story. There's a class that offers the business side of understanding visual communication too, and how that applies into the real world and how you can be financially smart, with that career too that you go with. So there's so much more that you learn through a university too, that I would say it definitely is worth it too, because yes, you have so many resources that are like free and available to the general public, which is like awesome and that's the way it should be, but you just don't get anything else like a one-on-one class from esteemed professors who truly know what they're doing and they want the best for you as well. So I would say it is worth it.
Tanner, Kenzie. What's up?
I pretty much agree with everyone else. I think, especially being a freshman and coming into this, like I knew the fundamentals already, but even outside classes, like our design class and our communications class, like it just showed you so much more of like what you're trying to do and what, like, I guess like emotion too, like your picture can tell just by manipulating all these tiny little factors. And for my first photo class, I think that having like professionals in the field critiquing your work on like a weekly basis is super valuable, because although they can be tough, like you're learning from the best and it's only going to make you better.
I would say absolutely 100% worth it. Paying to go to school to learn photography. Like everyone else says, you kind of know the fundamentals. You can know the fundamentals before coming in, but it's the professors and their experiences and the experiences of your classmates and the experiences that you get to have in this community that build you as a better photographer. And I felt in my time so far that my skill level has exponentially increased every year, and you just learn so much from being a student, um, trying to put out work every single week or every other week or whatever it may be, um, whether that's through classes or through student organizations. And I feel like if you don't go to school for that, you don't have that opportunity. And we're lucky to be able to be part of the Post or WOUB or the athletic department to be able to have to be able to produce work that often, because as a freelance photographer, you probably don't get those opportunities as much to shoot every single basketball game in the year. Whereas if you're a student, you can do that, and we're just really lucky to be able to do that kind of thing. And that kind of, I realized that before going to school, because I was questioning as well, like, is this something that I want to stay in as a major? Should I switch to something else? But after coming to school here, it was 100% like it's worth it. And the fact that you also get to learn, you know, sociology, philosophy, all these other different courses that expand not just your photography, but how you view the world and how you view the human condition of why am I taking this photo of this person? And it's not just from photography you learn that, but through experiences you have, as well as um, these other classes, which I really value.
I am on the same page as everybody, I believe. Um, I too was kind of questioning it going in, especially just kind of seeing like the Casey Neistats of the world who just like went full send on it, and that is how they found their success. But I think going to school for photojournalism specifically also just makes you such a people person, because that's the only way you're going to get your work done. So it definitely helped me become better at communicating, and it helped me stand out as well. My first day with the Ravens, one of my bosses told me like one of the reasons they hired me is because of my photo background. So um, while having that well-rounded education while specializing in photo definitely helped me stand out. So I think it's worth it.
Definitely. Thanks for all your answers. So, like I said, I put it on Instagram. Question was, what was it? Was something you wish you knew before going into college as a freshman? Um, I don't know all these names, but Joe, who is in, couldn't be here. Um, photo degree is really depends on individual college with connections, or college does help with connections. And then he also wrote all the great resources that the universities have for each students take advantage of. And then one more that I thought was interesting was saying yes to things that you feel like you can't do, you can learn. Um, Bren Pepke, I don't know how you say that, but she said that. But yeah, so um, and 12 people said yes, 9 people said no. Sometimes you accidentally hit the no, but 50-50. personally, like Midge was saying, yes, you could be a Casey Neistat and just hit the success, win the lottery, be all out. For some people, it can work. For others, it might take some more work. So definitely, like Tanner was saying, you're a year ahead of everybody else. So you have those connections. One day Nate Swanson could be the photo editor of the Post, or who knows. So then, knowing those people from your school could definitely help propel get you jobs in the future. So that's my take on it. So I guess we're all biased here, but so. And then kind of the last topic I wanted to talk about was, does gear matter? I know Abby was saying it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but it is a controversial topic. But would anybody like to give their 2 cents on that?
I'll probably hop in there. I'm sure everyone has incredible answers to based off everyone's careers and their own experiences. But I think gear does matter depending on the job you're in. If you're with national, international publications or outlets, you're gonna need gear, or they will have gear that is top of the line, high grade, professional gear, like cameras, mics, you name it. Uh, that's all standard, really, for the industry. But in terms of like gear on your own and for producing your own work, you truly don't need like the $1,000 equipment or thousands of dollars of equipment, because if you know the fundamentals of photography and like you'll learn everything uh, that's available from professors, from however it is you're learning about it. No matter what you have, you can probably produce like a pretty good image just on your own, no matter like what you have, even if it's like just with your iPhone too. And I know some folks who in some of these classes at OU didn't have like uh, DSLRs for a while, just because everyone's coming from their own backgrounds too, and you just have like whatever equipment's available to you, and that's the beauty of photography. Like anything can be taken on anything, and it doesn't matter if you have like a $10,000 DSLR or just your own iPhone or a Fuji camera or whatever. You can take a decent photo no matter what you have. So gear will definitely apply to whatever career path you go down. But when you want to just make an image, if you know how to take a photo, you can take a photo. At least that's the way I see it.
I don't think it matters to have the top of the line gear, but it definitely helps to save where you can. I bought my current lenses and body secondhand, and they're still working pretty well for me. And there's a lot of secondhand sites, a lot of Facebook groups you can join to help you. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I said that like gear doesn't matter. I think that obviously it does. It depends on, like Nate said, it depends on like if you're freelancing and you have the ability to have long glass or multiple bodies available to you, then freelance companies will be more likely to hire you. Unfortunately, it's just the reality of the industry right now and how fast paced things are. But I think that we all have seen great photo projects that come out of iPhones and that come from old film, and people get really creative. So I think that to agree with everyone else, it just goes to a certain extent of gear is great, but you have to be able to see it yourself first. So
Anyone else? I mean, there's not much else that could be said. No? Okay. Just real quick, if you mind, I mean, you could just go around, share the camera brand you own, and if you feel comfortable with the body model, if you feel comfortable sharing that. But would somebody like to go? Just real quick, just like
I can go. I shoot Nikon. I have a D750 currently. Do you want lenses too, or just okay?
it's fine.
I shoot Canon. I currently have a 7D. That's been carrying me over pretty well, but I am hoping to switch over to mirrorless eventually.
I also shoot Canon. I got a 5D Mark IV. Probably gonna want a second body in the future because it's always good to have a second camera on you too. But probably gonna buy that secondhand since first one is a lot of money. So buying it secondhand will definitely help.
I shoot Nikon. I have the D780.
I shoot Nikon as well. I've got a D810 and a D850.
Yeah, me, D10 Nikon. So, and one thing that most people should know, like OU freshmen should probably know, is that there is a requirement. So most of the ones that you heard just now are fulfilling the requirement. I mean, there's a list that if you ask the professor or your anybody that any faculty should be able to point you to that. But yeah, any full frame entry level should do good. Personally, I started on a D700, which is a full frame 12 megapixel camera, and that could work. I mean, that was only what, $400, so don't have to break the bank to get into this major. So I feel like that's probably something to be said there. But again, would like a second body personally, but I've also played with the idea, like Tanner was saying, like just have like a fun camera or something that's interesting to just bring around with you. I mean, one of the former faculty, Marcy, she had a camera that had, I think, a couple different lenses on it, right? How many was that? Like 12? And it would all synchronize. That was a little Japanese camera. I mean, just having something fun that's cheap. I mean, there's plenty of different ways to have fun and experiment with film or different digital cameras. I mean, heck, you have 3 cameras on an iPhone, so go crazy. So, would anybody like to add anything to what I said there? Okay. Back to the Instagram poll. 17 said yes to that gear matters, and 10 said no. Most people said Nikon, Canon, whatever your friends use or whatever fits your budget needs. Yeah, there's something to be said about Sony, but that's another topic for another day. Yeah. Would anybody like to say anything else? Because else I'll just end it there. No.
I think I may also add too, if you're coming from an area that's not from Appalachia, you're going to have your mind blown coming to a place that you're not familiar with growing up because Abby and I came from metropolitan Chicago, so we're very used to like a suburban, urbanized area. And coming to Ohio University and the rural area and just the environment of it all, like I fell in love with it too, because you just meet a community that just I've never met a community that embodies community, before coming to OU. And I just think it's definitely the right choice I made because you wouldn't get that anywhere else. Athens is a special, incredible place, and everyone's going to say that too coming out of OU. But there's a reason why they say that. It's because you meet a lot of unique, great individuals too. You meet a lot of locals who have lived in the area all their lives too, and the stories that they have to tell. You come, you confront. I don't know where I was going with that thought, but basically, Athens is a great place, and Appalachia is a beautiful area too that definitely is overlooked, and I think you'll fall in love with the area. So that's what I have to say. That's my final thought.
Also, add talk to everyone you can, and hear their story and care about what they have to say, because a lot of people have some really crazy stories, and they just want to share it with somebody. And a lot of the times, if you just ask somebody how they're doing or what they're up to, they'd be more than willing to share with you what their life story is, really.
Any last takers? No. Okay. My piece of advice would be to definitely get involved. Join one org. If you got to push yourself, if you're introverted or just not a people person, you got to be one. You got to be a people person. Just like Tanner was saying, just talking to someone. Biggest thing that I've learned is if somebody knows that you're listening to them, and you're, even if you don't typically take interest in what they're talking about, you'll go so much further in just making photos or making, if you do multimedia or whatever it is, you'll just go way further with your work than somebody who doesn't give two craps about what they're talking about. So but yeah, thank you very much, all of you guys. I will, is it okay if I link all your Instagrams in the below? I'm hoping, Tanner, if you can do like little small Instagram reels with this. And so find us on MPPAOU. 3 of us are still there, or sorry, 4 of us are still there. And so, definitely follow that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Good seeing you all again too.